let's talk about this rifle. So I've had this rifle for many years. It started off with the same lower, the LMT lower, but it had essentially a full Knights upper, which you're probably like, well, why didn't you keep the Knights upper? Knights armament is overrated. You hear a lot of stuff about, oh, the Knights SR-16 is the best rifle ever made. Yeah, I've shot a lot of them. All these AR-15s, as long as you're putting quality parts into them, they all do the same thing. They're never going to fail you. That being said, this rifle is now LMT lower, BCM upper, Geisley rail, Criterion barrel, Magpul, what is this one? SLK stock. The reason, and this is a recent addition, the reason why I switched over to this, I was running the ACS stock, but it was too big, especially in a plate carrier. Every time I would go to shoulder the rifle, it would be over here, over on the side of my shoulder, not in the pocket of the shoulder where you need it to be. So I switched over to the SLK, mainly because it goes between all the different kits that I wear: chest rig, plate carrier, and then just dry, no gear. It works for everything, and I can keep it in this exact same position no matter what kit that I have on. So it's probably the best addition that I've made to this rifle so far. The other new addition is the SIG Romeo 8T, which I've been looking for a red dot, and historically I've used EOTechs and aim points. So part of the reason was I wanted to give SIG a try, but the problem with EOTechs is they have 1,000 hours battery life and they don't stay on. They stay on for 8 hours or 4 hours depending on which button you push up or down. Now, I am not about that. I want a red dot that stays on constantly. And also, side note, I immediately turned off the motion activated dot on this rifle because I don't want a computer deciding when my my aiming method works, right? So it had an ACOG on it before this, which was cool because ACOGs are awesome, but it was heavy, and the eye relief on an ACOG is not the best. So especially with the ACS stock that I had on there, it was really hard to get close enough to the reticle to be able to see what I was doing. So SIG Romeo 8T, we're still doing testing and evaluation on that, so we'll see where that goes. All the reviews and everything online say that it's good, but until you find out for yourself, you don't know, because you don't know who's getting paid by who. Moving on. So Geisley rail. The way that Geisley rails are engineered, and the way that they're built is somewhat different from a lot of other rails. You'll see a lot of rails that have the clamping mechanism down here. It's the 2 screws, the spacer, and then basically just a nut and a screw. Not a fan of that. I've had them fall and twist, and especially if you're using a laser or something on the front, an IR laser, having that thing zero is kind of important. So the lockup on Geisley rails is, I would say, probably better than Daniel Defense, even though Daniel uses the 4 screws that are going this way. I think that this is actually a little bit stronger if you're using a laser. From there, from the rail, BCM CAC handguard, or excuse me, hand stop. The reason is I like hand stops, but this one is okay. It's not the best. It's okay for just using as a handguard, but it's not good for loading up on a barricade, which is why today actually I have the regular Defense hand stop coming, which is much more aggressive and it's much more flat, so it'll be a better barricade stop. Rugged Razor 7.62. A lot of people ask me, well, you put so much money into this rifle, why not get a Surefire or a Huxworks or something like that? Well, could. I mean, it's not like it's unaffordable, but one, the Huxworks is loud. The sound suppression on the Razor 7.62 is better than the Hux because it's not a flow through. And the way that I have this rifle set up, there is no gas back in the face, even without, it's just a regular radiant charging handle, no SD, no nothing. So it has a Superlative Arms gas block, which bleeds off most of the gas, And the way that this fail zero bolt is designed, the gas doesn't come back to the charging handle, and it doesn't get in my eyes, it doesn't gum me up at all, which is a big problem with like Mark 18s that are overgassed and stuff. You'll get that gas that comes back and it's hitting you right in the eye, and you'll end up with a black mark right across your face, which is no fun. It is generally a gassy suppressor on most guns, but like I said, the way that I have this thing built is it's pretty good. And also because of the Geisley H3 buffer and braided spring combo, there is no recoil on this gun at all. It is completely flat. When it's recoiling, it's just going back and forth. There's no actual muzzle rise to the gun at all. It is fantastic. Mod light, because mod light is the only light. This particular one is the OKW head, which is the tight hotspot and very, very bright, because why give your opponent the advantage? I don't want them to be able to see anything before there's a cat. A lot of wild cats around here. I don't want the enemy or the opponent to see anything before I have to engage them, which God willing I never have to do, but it is a reality. The button on here is flat because as much as I like the Unity accent button, it gets in the way, especially if you're using a magnified optic. The way that it sits up, if you're not using a high mount or a riser, it doesn't work very well. Your finger gets in the way when you're trying to activate the button. Having this flat button on here is just better, especially if you're doing a C-clamp grip. The way that I have the hand stop set up, my hand perfectly sits in there and my thumb just rests on the button. If I need the light, I just push the button down and then there's the light. That is certainly a very good way to do it. This is a Neomag strap, so when I want to stow the rifle, or I don't want the sling getting in the way, just pop off the magnet, fold the sling up, put it under there, throw that on, boom, done. It's a simple solution. It doesn't get in the way. It's not a snag point, which is one of the things I was concerned about when I got it, especially wearing a play carry a lot, but it hasn't been a problem at all. And I've had that thing on there for probably a year, maybe more now. Done a lot of training with it, so it's good to go. Other than that, bad lever, because fast reloads are awesome, and if you're in a gunfight and you run out of ammo, you need to get that gun back in the fight as fast as possible. So the bad lever definitely helps with that. If I could, because you can't with an LMT lower because of the ambidextrous bolt release, if I could, I would use a phase 5 where it's all one piece. The bolt release into the bad lever is all one solid piece, which is certainly a much better design than one screw, which, you know, praying that the Loctite holds up after, you know, 1,000 reloads, but it does. It's held up pretty well. So like I said, LMT Mars LS lower. Yeah, this is my go-to grow right here. It's been a fantastic rifle for all the years that I've had it, and yeah, so that's the main rifle of Sierra Defense. If you guys have any questions or you want any tips on training or anything like that, we're going to start doing these more long form videos. We got to get the real training out there. Being in the firearms industry as long as I have been, I can tell you that there's so much bad information out there that it's ridiculous. Everything from very poor holsters, you know, these guys that are carrying Uncle Mike's and thinking that they're hot dogs and stuff is not good. Not good at all. So we got to really start getting the information out there into what T-Rex Arms coined as the civilian defense industry, which I subscribe to. I think that that's a really good way of thinking about it. So anyway, stay deadly and seek no quarter from me.